Well, since you want to talk about it, let's talk about it. What's up, y'all? Thank you for tuning in to episode 4 of Unfinished Business. We're back at it once again. We're going to keep chugging along. Thank you guys for tuning in. And I will say this about this episode, we're trying to transition into something that we plan on doing a lot more over time within just this podcast in general. So we do have a special guest today. But before we kind of introduce him or get into that, you already know what I'm about to ask, right? I need you to do 3 things. I need you to like this video. I need you to subscribe. For those of you that are on YouTube, you know how to subscribe. I'll show you the button. You just click right on that. But we're also, right, for those that just like to listen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google, pretty much anything that you can think of. So subscribe to those as well so you can, when we drop things, you're the first ones to kind of hear it and know about it. And then the last thing is I need you to comment. We got a couple comments last time, and it was kind of fun just kind of talking with some of the people. But we need more of you guys to converse with us because once we get on top, we may not be able to talk with y'all as much. But, hey, no, I'm just playing. But, yeah, so special guest, before I name him, right? This is a guy that I know personally. I went to high school with him. He's really like my little brother, to be honest. Just have been able to kind of watch him grow. He plays basketball at the collegiate level. So went to Tartan High School. He was a Minnesota Mr. Basketball finalist. He was the Metro East Conference Player of the Year, and he was 3rd team All-State in Minnesota as well. He played a little bit of basketball at Siena College his freshman year, transferred to North Dakota State University, and then now he's currently at University of Texas, Permian Basin. So he's definitely been able to hop around a little bit, get a whole bunch of different experiences, and then he's ready to go, get geared up for this college season. So without further ado, my bro, Jordan Horn. What's up, Jordan?
What's up? How you doing? Thanks for having me.
Of course. Thanks for. I know we did a lot of back and forth, but thank you for.
We figured it out. We good. We figured it out.
We good. So, y'all, Jordan, my first question for him really, and I kind of know his story a little bit, but I want to give him a chance to kind of let you guys know, just your journey, right, and how you got into the sport.
Well, pretty much, I'm from St. Paul, Minnesota. I grew up on the east side of St. Paul. I got into sports. I played all 3 sports growing up. I played baseball, I played football, I played basketball. But then once I got to like 6th, 7th grade, I kind of stopped playing everything else, and that's when I really took basketball serious. I was getting off the school bus to stop early so I can go to the gym and go to Conway Rec Center, Tia knows, and just go work out on my own, whether it's outside or whether the gym was open. I kind of had to figure out how to get on some sort of court no matter what it was. So once I got to 6th, 7th grade, I started to take the game serious. I mean, everybody has that story of like they grew up with a ball in their crib, and I was definitely that kid, had a basketball in my crib when I was 2 years old and stuff like that. But once I got to 6th, 7th grade, that's when I started to take the game serious and kind of led me to where I'm at now.
Mm-hmm. And I think what's probably the most interesting about your story, Jordan, just because we talked a little bit beforehand, is you didn't have kind of someone putting the ball in your hands or kind of training you along the way and telling you, this, that, and the other. You did that yourself. So talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, it was tough. I never had the dad who would come to the gym with me, rebound for me. I never had the mom who would come to the gym and rebound for me either. But I kind of just did all that on my own. I was looking up YouTube videos, watching my favorite players play live on TNT and NBA TV and stuff like that. So whatever I watched and tried to learn and tried to see what works. And I think it kind of gave me an advantage because I kind of learned how to watch film at a super young age and how to watch it the right way. So just doing that was my trainer growing up. I didn't really get a personal trainer or anything until I got junior year in high school. So kind of getting it out of the mud by myself growing up.
Yeah, I must say I have a different level of respect for players who can go in the gym and just, just go at it by themselves because, growing up, I had a trainer and I know that at least at, 14, 15, I wasn't about to go grab a ladder and cones and do footwork drills. Like,
Right.
I wanted some.
No, for sure.
Eating hot puffs, watching a movie. I mean, that's just realistic.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think now times are definitely changing, and now their trainers and parents are a lot more intense, especially a lot more early. I feel like. I mean, I've seen even training videos, and even a lot of the kids that I train, they start second, first grade, and I mean, generationally, okay, yeah, that's now
Right.
that's a thing, but like back then, like you said, you didn't really start really taking it seriously and really focusing on basketball only until 6th or 7th grade. So, yeah, I have a really high level of respect for that, and
Appreciate that.
yeah, for sure. And just, I guess, do you think it gave you a different outlook on the game, or a different love for it, and kind of had a different chip on your shoulder?
Absolutely. I think I kind of grew up with a chip on my shoulder, and like that's just kind of how I knew like my basketball like career would end up going. I'd always have a chip on my shoulder. I was always kind of like counted out the last one. Like I was Tia knows, like we went to school, elementary school together. Like I was the youngest one of everybody. I've always been the youngest around my crowd. So growing up, I played when I was 9, 10 years old. I was playing like 17U, 15U. Like I was playing against older guys. So like I kind of had to go into everything with a chip on my shoulder. I kind of knew that nobody else was gonna like hold my hand and kind of get me through it, especially growing up, like throughout middle school. So I think it definitely gave me a chip on my shoulder, and that's something I still kind of carry with me to this day. Is just kind of like to prove everybody else wrong and kind of get out the mud with myself.
Yeah, you talk about getting it out the mud. I mean, that's
Yeah,
that's definition for right there.
absolutely, for sure.
For real.
Yeah.
And it's really crazy too, just thinking about it, because like I said, like you like my little brother, you know what I'm saying? Like I just found out that you graduated 3 years after me, so I realized that I'm a little bit older, y'all.
Yeah.
But I just remember right in elementary at Harambe, we'd at recess and stuff like that, we go out and play like flag football. And so Jordan, I mean, he was young. He still had the baby fat on, you know. Look, am I lying though?
Yeah, you right.
Chubby kid, but he was always like super competitive, you know what I'm saying? And so it was just interesting. We were playing flag football though, and then sometimes we play basketball and things like that. But it's crazy to think that at that time, because I was in 5th grade at the time, which means you were much younger than I was, that it took you another 5, 6 years to actually take basketball serious.
Yeah.
And you kind of had the talent and at least the competitiveness early on. So what do you think made you want to specialize in basketball out of all the sports that you were playing?
Honestly, I always tell myself this, and people ask me all the time, like, I think I was like a lot better at football than I was basketball, especially growing up. I was bigger than everybody growing up. I was stronger than everybody growing up. I was like that kid. And then once I got like to 8th grade, I was like, damn, I ain't growing that much. Like, I don't think I'm gonna get that much like stronger and stuff like that. And then once like I said, I kind of played up like with football and stuff. And I was like, damn, people starting to hit harder, run faster. I don't even know, like, I have a long career with that. And I was like, I think I found basketball just more fun. Like basketball was more fun. It was an up and down sport, nonstop. You know, football, you got 30 seconds, a minute in between plays. Like I like that stuff. It's just nonstop like competition, and that's just kind of how I am. I think that's just like how I am. Just led me to playing the game of basketball, especially being around basketball growing up. I think it was just kind of a matter of time until I kind of just fell in love with it.
Right. So you said you watched like a couple of like NBA players and things like that. Who were the players you were watching growing up, like watching film on?
So like watching film on to like learn stuff from, I would probably say like I used to watch a lot of like Darren Williams. Like when he was with the Jazz, he was one of my favorite. He was one of my favorite players. I used to watch. Who else did I used to watch? I used to watch a lot of like Brandon Roy, Jason Kidd, like a lot of like more like on the side of like Jason Kidd, but like less athletic type of like guards. Got a lot of like shift to their game, a lot of smarts and stuff like that. Because that's how I am. I'm not like a super athlete or anything like that. I think I'm a smart player, and I kind of know how to get to my spots. And watching those guys growing up was definitely helpful.
Right.
Wow.
Okay.
I feel like a lot of coaches say, like at least to me growing up, like you can't teach height. Like, you know, like they would just go and stick me on the block because I'm 6 foot, whatever, in 7th grade. So they're like, go stand on the block. You know what I mean? But I think at the same time, you can't teach that competitiveness and you can't teach that love for the game. You know
Absolutely.
what I mean? And it's crazy because I was just having this conversation the other day, and there was this girl at the camp we had, and this girl, when I tell you, her motor was insane, like compared to the other 7th graders that were in the group. And that's another thing that I mean, like you can't teach those type of things. You know what I mean? You can't teach that someone to just know to go fast or know to go hard. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So for you to kind of teach yourself how to, you know what I mean? Like you said, you sat there and watched film, and how to teach yourself, okay, how to, you know, be shifty and get to that spot like Jason Kidd, or, you know, be smart with the ball and, you know, do an in and out cross, whatever it is, like Darren Williams. So yeah, that's next level. I'm sitting here thinking about it because I'm like, I'm really just thinking about myself at 11 and 12 and 13. And I mean, I love basketball, but that's a different level.
Yeah, I kind of had to like fall in love with it like a different way. Like you said, like now a lot of kids like have trainers like who are like from 4th grade up until like they reach college basketball. So like I've never had that. I never had somebody to like push me. So I always knew like if I want to accomplish my dreams to be a professional basketball player, I'm gonna have to figure it out on my own. I didn't have all that stuff until I got into like high school when I met Coach K, who Tia knows. Like I didn't get all of that stuff that I was kind of teaching myself until I got into high school. So I think that really made me fall in love with the game, was just kind of having to go in the gym. Like, you know, the worst thing of being a basketball player and going to the gym by yourself is when you shoot the ball and you got to chase your own rebound. Like that takes more like hard work than like throughout the workout, in my opinion. So like having to just like discipline yourself to go to the gym by yourself, actually do something while you're in there, not just goof around and do pointless things. Like I think that's where I kind of really got my love for the game of basketball.
Right. And, you know, like if you don't know Jordan, it's really just crazy because I've never seen someone with so much work ethic. And at a super young age, you know, following you on social media, right, went to the same school. This kid was waking up at like 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning, getting into the gym. Like, you know, he took advantage. Like when he had those resources, he took advantage of it, you know, getting under Coach K kind of believing in him and things like that. But he was in the gym at like 7 in the morning every single day, literally. And so, you know, like that's really like a part of your story, you know, and it's still not done yet. But that's one thing I always admired. I'm like, damn, like that kid, he's going to be great. And, you know, you're well on your way to that. You know, you've been doing your thing everywhere you went. So I think that's amazing. And then just hearing how he didn't start.
Right.
You know, he didn't have someone kind of pushing him, and he was just doing that on his own.
Yeah, and I think that's why I guess I'm like harping on it so much, is because like you said, it's a part of his story. And for me as a journalist, like I think about that journey, you know what I mean, and just the story behind it. And like she said, your story isn't finished yet, you know what I mean. But when you know, I'm a big believer, so you know when you do achieve your goals and become a professional basketball player. That's something, that's a story that you'll be able to tell, you know what I mean? And that's a part of your journey. And I don't know, that's beautiful, truthfully, you know what I mean? As a hooper and as an athlete to hear that and hear you as, what was he, middle school, high school, waking up at 6, 7 in the morning?
Yeah.
You still do it, don't you?
Yeah, in high school, that's when I really started it. When I was like a sophomore in high school, I think that's sophomore high school. That's when I wake up at like 5:30, probably get to Tartan around 6:15, work out until about 7:30, and then first bell ring at 8:15. Probably go get some take a shower. I take a shower in the locker room every single day.
I was gonna ask you if you did that.
Yeah, I have some sandals on the whole time. I ain't stepping on that nasty floor. But I take a shower, go get some breakfast or something, and then I go to Miss Dwyer's room and do homework every single day before class. So that was like my daily routine in high school all the way up until I graduated. And obviously we got practice and stuff like that. And then preseason I'd go after school. I'd go sophomore year. I started taking like cycling classes because like I was chubby at one point. My freshman year I was a chubby point guard. I ended up losing probably like 20-30 pounds going into my sophomore year. I was taking the cycling class every single day after school. So just all that extra stuff kind of just like carry with me now. Now I take it I'm kind of like more extreme with it now because Like I'll wake up at 4:30 and I'll get to the gym by 5, be done by 6, go lift at like 8 o'clock. So like it's a little more extreme now.
And you still just in there working by yourself? Do you have rebounders now?
No, a manager's not gonna come at like 5 in the morning.
Right.
So I don't even ask them. So like I'll hop on the gun by myself and shoot on the gun every single morning. But once like the season starts, I kind of slow down because
right.
that grind of college basketball is gonna catch up to you. And I think it's finally doing that. My body's starting to like not react the same way it is and kind of having to slow down a little bit.
Right.
Okay.
Speaking of the grind of college basketball.
Yeah.
How was that transition for you, you know, going from high school to, you know, like she said, you had plenty of accolades coming out of high school, your senior year, that freshman year. I mean, I know mine hit me like a ton of bricks. So how was that for you?
I think the transition like into my own team, I think it was pretty easy. Like I said, I'm a super hardworking guy. So like I kind of took all that stuff like that not everybody else kind of took serious. I took that stuff serious. I was always the first one in the gym, last one to leave. So like my coaches seen that, they admired that, and they knew I was the hardest worker on every team I've been on. But just like I think that made it easier for me. But like the transition from like playing from high school basketball into a college basketball game was extremely like different. It was, the game was so fast. Like that's like the first thing. It's just so much faster and so much more physical. Like my first college game we played at College of Charleston, and it was they had 2 guards who were like, I think one of them just got drafted. They had another point guard who I think played overseas. So like I got like a real college, like a welcome to college basketball experience, and it was actually fun. I ended up hitting the game tying layup at the end of the game. Okay. So yeah, it was 2 of my 4 points as a freshman in my first game.
Right.
Yeah, I'll never forget that.
Okay, so you started out at a Siena, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So backing up just a little bit, right? Super hardworking kid, you know, you're putting in the work that you feel that you should have been. Did that translate to recruitment for you? So like, what was the recruiting process like for you?
Man, Coach K always says like I was probably one of like the grossly, like he said it like this, you were grossly under recruited in high school because like work ethic was there. Like I could have been a kid who averaged 35 points and did all this, but I didn't want to be like that. I was a point guard. I like to pass and do all these things, and I could have been like everybody else and did all that and stuff like that. But I was just super under recruited. I don't know why it was. I don't know why people would kind of looked over me. I think going into, before I committed to Siena, I think I had 2 or 3 offers, I think. Wow. And I got my first scholarship offer from University of South Dakota after their elite camp when I was a sophomore in high school going into my junior year. Like it was that summer between. And then I didn't get anything until my last tournament of AAU, my junior year. It was actually my last 2 games of AAU basketball, period. And I ended up getting 2 other offers from Western Carolina, and then it was New Hampshire. And then 2 of them, like pretty much all 3 of them stopped talking to me. And then all of a sudden, signing day was like late November my senior year. I forgot when it was. But Siena came in, and I think I forgot where they seen me play, but he came to see in a workout. The coach offered me, and then from what I was hearing, I actually committed like before I even took a visit. Like I was kind of scared. I was thinking like, I don't want to go into my senior year. Like I might have no offers at the end of the year. So I just wanted to secure a spot. And then I committed to Siena like November 10th or 11th. And I took my official visit on like the 12th or something like that. So like, yeah. So I was recruiting. I didn't really get to experience it that much. Everybody got like the texts and stuff like that from different coaches. I got a box full of letters. I got all that, but that stuff doesn't really mean nothing when it's not really translating. So it was, high school recruiting was a little downhill battle for me, but I'm blessed and happy where I'm at. So I don't got no complaints with that.
Did you ever like kind of second guess yourself during that time? Like obviously you were one of the top players in Minnesota, right?
Yeah.
You were putting in work always. And so I think that's kind of weird that you got an offer early on, as early as your sophomore year going into your junior, and then the whole year you don't hear anything from anyone else.
I think
so. What was that junior year like?
It was, my junior year was actually, I think, my best year. I think it was my best year individually, in my opinion. But I don't know what it was. I personally think it was my nothing against Howard Pulley or anything, but I think it was having to play with them. I wasn't able to show my full game. I had Gary Trent Jr. on my team. I had Trey Jones. I had a bunch of other guys around me who the team wasn't really built around me. I didn't get to see the floor a lot. And then at my junior year, going up between my senior year, I ended up making that switch to Minnesota Fury, and then that's actually when I got all my scholarship offers. I didn't really get any throughout AAU until my last year. So, but my junior year, I think that was my best year of basketball, in my opinion. It didn't really affect it because I kind of knew, it just goes back to my story. I'm going to be that guy who has to just get it out the mud. I'm going to just, my just path and journey is just a little bit different than everybody else's. So I kind of just knew that, and I never really lost sight and kind of second guessed it because I knew that what I give to the game is just going to give back to me at some point in time.
That's so true. I tell people that all the time, the basketball guys, they are real.
I believe in it. I believe my coach was actually talking about it today. He's people say I'm weird for believing it, but I believe in the basketball gods. I definitely believe in it too. You do the right thing, the game's gonna pay you back in the right way. So I definitely believe in that.
Yeah, a lot of the lucky bounces off the rim.
Mm-hmm.
that ain't what is it? Gravity or whatever. That is Wilt Chamberlain tipping that ball.
That's the basketball guys, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's crazy though that you mentioned Howard Pulley and stuff like that because I remember that, and he named off some big names, right? Gary Trent Jr. He's on the Portland Trail Blazers. Trey Jones just got drafted 2 days ago.
Yep.
Spurs, the 41st pick. So you kind of see the talent that he's got surrounded with, and we say college sports is a business. Basketball in general, the way that it's going now, is just becoming a business from at a very early age. And so you take that too. You made the right business decision by moving to the Fury. You kind of had a lull in your recruiting, but made the right decision to move to the Fury, and that helped you out kind of pick up a couple more.
Absolutely.
But I think one of the main things that is kind of going on with Minnesota, maybe people are opening their eyes, Minnesota has been slept on basketball. Super slept on. Still slept on. Absolutely. If you think about it, yeah. Yeah. And so we've been saying that, we know that. We're from Minnesota. We see people coming out of there. They only have one Division I school, which is U. If the U's not doing their job and keeping Minnesota kids in Minnesota, it's really hard for guys to really kind of branch out and, get seen by schools on the East Coast, get seen by schools on the West Coast. And so I think it really kind of damages, other than just you kind of, the factors that you were talking about, it's just Minnesota's kind of overlooked.
Yeah.
And you can speak to Texas a little bit, right? In Texas, she got it made because, you get seen by Baylor, then you got Texas Tech, then you got University of Texas, then you got TCU, then you got SMU.
Not even that, but there's just so many mid-majors too. You got UTEP, you got UTSA. There's too many in Texas. Yeah.
There's so many schools, and I've never even had that perspective, or even, you know what I mean? And as a Texas kid, should I left? You know what I mean? Right. So, like you said, for kids from Minnesota, if University of Minnesota isn't recruiting those kids, isn't bringing those kids, it's hard for those same kids to get those same offers outside of Minnesota, because, you think about it, if you're not getting an offer from University of Minnesota in Minnesota, then, who's going to say that Illinois is going to recruit you, or another Big Ten school, Northwestern, you know what I mean? So, yeah, that's definitely, that's very situational, kids in Texas, and maybe even kids in California or Florida, they have so many Division I and mid-major schools that they, it's big pickings. You can, you can go a lot of places, and I've never even thought about it like that, honestly.
It's hard. You come out of Minnesota, you really, had to, do work in order to get out of Minnesota. Changing now, because we have Jalen Suggs, top 10 player. We got Chet Holmgren, who's number 1 in the country now. Ty came out, Trey just came out, Gary Trent Jr. So we're getting a lot of players now, and I think that they're kind of taking notice, but that definitely is hard for you guys.
Absolutely.
So I only imagine that. And so going back to Siena, right? You were at Siena, true freshman. you were a starter there, correct?
Yep, halfway through the season, I ended up starting.
Okay, so you started halfway through the season. You were getting like 20 minutes per game, and you were averaging about 8-9 points, which is crazy for a freshman. So after having such a good year there early on, you transferred the year after. Why is that?
Yeah, but I think like I said, halfway through the season, like the first half of the season up until like it was actually we played at Bryant, and then I ended up scoring like 12 points. I had a really good game, and this is like actually mid-December, and then the next game we played again at Memphis. We played at Memphis. I ended up having like a career game, hit 8 threes. And we only lost by 4. It was a super close game as a freshman. And I think ever since then, like I think that before that, I was probably averaging like 4 points a game, 3 points a game. And then after that game, I think it was probably like in between 11 to 15 points, like that second half of the season. So personally, I think it was a pretty big success. But then I ended up transferring. My coach ended up actually resigning at Siena. So he was the guy who recruited me, and he actually like believed in me. Once I earned his respect as like a player, and he's seen all the hard work that I put in, he really respected that and loved it. He kind of like he'd make fun of me actually for it, like Horn's not gonna go out tonight. He's gonna be in the gym tomorrow at 5 o'clock in the morning. This isn't military time. He would just like say much stuff like that. But like I actually enjoyed playing for him. He believed in me, and I believed in him. And so when he left, I kind of didn't want to play for anybody else, and I didn't know what the new coach would bring in. So I ended up transferring closer to home. Not many people know, but I ended up getting a waiver to play right away. That's why I played right away at NDSU, because my grandma, she was diagnosed with leukemia probably like 2000, early 2000s. I forgot the exact year, but just being close to her, like she never seen me play while I was in New York. She never was gonna be able to fly out besides my visit. So being able to like have her see me play college basketball would have been nice. And honestly, when I was at NDSU, she didn't even get to see me play, because when she came, I was on the bench. So so just going there, I thought it was gonna be a good spot for me. And then NDSU was NDSU. That sophomore year was, yeah.
And that's part of the journey, right? So I myself transferred as well, right? I went to Marquette my freshman year. Had a great freshman year.
I was there at the signing day in the cafeteria.
Yeah. So, had a great year my freshman year, but coaches play a huge part, right, in your college career. And so, in my personal experience, I was getting used to this one coach and coaching staff. That's who I committed to. Right, because you commit to the school, but you also commit to a coach as well.
Absolutely.
They have a huge importance. And so about a month and a half, I was set to go on campus. My entire coaching staff got fired. So as someone who was a first-generation student athlete, I didn't really know what to do, right? Looking back on it, I probably would have reopened my recruitment, which is probably what I should have did, kind of talk to other schools that were already recruiting me beforehand. But kind of like you, right? I didn't have anyone say, hey, this is what you need to do. I would reopen your recruitment and then blah, 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 blah. So the best decision for me was just to go with what I already knew. So I decided to go to Marquette.
Yep.
Like I said, individually, I had a good year. As far as the player coaching fit, it just wasn't the same. And it kind of goes back to your point that you were saying, right? You didn't know what that new coach was going to do.
Exactly.
And for a lot of y'all that don't know, we say college sports is a business, but when you have these coaching changes and you wonder why kids leave, it's because, no shade or anything, but it's the truth. A lot of times these coaches come in and they have their own agenda.
Absolutely.
They're kind of, they get these kids that are already there, but they're not really their babies, if that makes sense. It's like, sad to say, but like, they're not their babies, and everyone wants to make their mark. The kids may play a different type of basketball than they're used to, and they want to recruit differently. So when Jordan transfers, that's a business decision, because he doesn't know what that new coach is going to come in and do. You had a great year that first year, but you can be sitting the bench the next because you just don't fit that coach's system.
It's a whole different dynamic when a different coach comes in. Absolutely.
So, how did, like, you transferred once before and things like that. Like, how important are coaches kind of in those decisions?
Yeah, they're super important. And for me, I mean, my recruiting process was also very, like, interesting. And, I mean, I was very highly recruited. And I'm 6'5", like,
Right.
you can't teach that. Like,
Right.
that's just the truth. And I've come to accept that. But it was, you know, the coach that I committed to, like you said, going back, I did have my dad who was somewhat of a guidance point, but he also is in a completely different generation. My dad was born in 66. So,
Yeah.
I mean, he knew basketball, but he didn't necessarily know the recruitment process and all of that type of thing. So, you know, when we were getting ready to go to IU and there were, I think, 5 people that left the team, like you said, that anybody would have been like, that's a red flag. You might need to reopen your commitment.
Yeah.
You need to, I mean, your recruitment, you need to see, you know, what's going on. And so, and I had only had one conversation with our head coach on the phone before I committed to our previous institution. So, I mean, there was guidance, but there wasn't direction, I guess you could say. You know what I mean? And so, I mean, if I wish I would have known what I knew now. But then even still, you know, when I did decide to grad transfer to UTA, and, you know, Coach Gerlich was amazing. I could tell she was a really good person, had a really good soul, you know what I mean? And was just a good person, and that mattered. But it just wasn't like a good situation. And stuff like that. But it is just like a really big, just like you said, coaching is just so important because at the end of the day, like it's like a parent almost. It's like
absolutely.
I crave that, you know, appreciation, and I crave that approval, and I crave, you know what I mean? Like if I make a really good post move, like I don't want you to just watch my good post move and not say anything. Right. You know what I mean? It's just like, you know, if I tie my shoe for the first time, I want my parents to be ecstatic. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I compare it that way because it's the truth, at least for me. And, you know, I'm one of those, you know, people, I'm, you know, extra sensitive sometimes. And that matters to me. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, you know, some players, they don't care. They already have their ego, and it doesn't matter. Like, I know I'm cold. You don't have to tell me anything. You know what I mean? But I feel like you have to learn your players, and you have to love on certain players more than you do others. You know what I mean? And some coaches take that into account, and it really matters to them. Some coaches, it doesn't matter. I'm here to win games. I'm not here to baby you. I'm not here to, you know, shape your ego. I'm not here to do all those type of things. So, I mean, now that I have kids that I coach and that I train, when I tell you I take it so seriously because, like, if I see them do a right-handed layup with the correct footwork, I go. Like, and I'm telling you because, I mean, I coach, you know, kids who aren't on, like, a super high level. And so those little accomplishments, I mean, they matter. Yep. At the end of the day. And I don't want to coach college. That's not my dream. So that's a different level. Yep. But, I mean, if I can shape just the smallest amount of your basketball journey, like, that matters to me, and I'm cool with that. You know what I mean? So for me to be 23 years old, making that matter to little kids, you know what I mean? And then, you know, I just can't imagine a coach deciding to take, you know, that step to the college basketball level, taking 14, 13 girls, young women, you know, into their program and not having that same care, not having that same, you know what I mean, passion and love for it because you're on the college level. It's like, well, you know what I mean? Well, it turns into a business as soon as I get to college. Why is that? Right. You know what I mean? I don't know.
I think, like, probably the most, like, important thing you said was, like, not everybody had that guidance, like, so when you're transferring or even when you're signing to a school, like, not everybody had that guidance to be like, okay, when you're looking for a school, you should need to look into this, this, and this. Like, I really didn't have any of that besides my high school coaches. I didn't have, like, I have previous family members who, like, who didn't go to college. I'm the first person to graduate, the first man in my family to graduate from high school, go to college. So I'm the first person to go through this. So I didn't have, like, family or anybody in my ear saying, like, this, like, the right things, like, that I actually needed to do and look at. So I just relied on like my high school coach, but at the same time, he was like, "You're your own man. I want you to make your own decision and live with that."
Yeah.
So, but I think that's important that like a lot of people don't realize, but like not everybody has that guidance to make the right decision. Maybe they might make the wrong decision, like coming out of high school and commit to a school that maybe they should have reopened the recruitment, like in y'all's situation. So I think that's a big thing that you said. Right?
It is. It's trial and error, and that's why with the NCAA, I mean, I wish that, you know, the transfer, you know, regulations and all that would be a lot more lenient. I mean, now with COVID it is, but I mean, you're 18 years old, sometimes 17 years old when you're making that decision. Why should I have to sit out for a year and do an extra year of college or whatever it is because I made the wrong decision as a 17-year-old kid, you know?
Yeah.
And that's a lot of the times. I mean, if I'm being real, I would have transferred after my freshman year, if I didn't have, I'm gonna sit out. You know, that's the main thing you think about. You know what I mean? Is having to sit out. So with that being a penalty, I mean, if that wasn't a penalty, I guarantee there would be a lot more transfers in general.
Right. And I think NCAA is kind of taking a move towards that a little bit because they've probably given more waivers than they ever have before. Because they're realizing, right, you made a mistake. Yeah. At the end of the day, you're still vulnerable. You're a kid. And you go on these recruiting visits, and they show you everything.
And they're going to tell you everything that you want to hear. Everything that you want to hear, they're going to tell you. So.
And I'm glad you're saying that, right? Because we got 3 student athletes on this podcast.
Absolutely.
And we've all experienced it
at
some point. And to those of you who are listening, this is a huge, huge problem because not anymore, but it used to be a stigma to transfer. I don't know if when you transferred after that first year, you felt a little weird.
I did because even like in high school, like people would be like, "Why do you go to Tartan? Like y'all aren't known for." I'm like, "We're known for basketball. You just got to know about Tartan to know about Tartan basketball." Right. So I would never leave my situation, and people would always ask me like, "Why don't you go here?" I'm like, "I'm loyal. I'm like loyal to who's loyal to me." So like me transferring out of high school, out of college, I mean, like I remember Coach K even had to tell me like, don't think like you're a bad person because you're transferring. Like you're making the right decision because it's the right decision. Like that was actually really tough for me. And then I did it a second time. I was like, oh, I don't want to be known. I don't want to be known as this kid who's just like hopping around because I'm not that type of guy. But it just wasn't the right like situation for me. That's just how it actually panned out to go.
Right. And you got to do that.
Yeah.
And I remember I was scared shitless like when I was transferring after my freshman year because a lot of people don't understand. They're on the outside looking in and they're like, why would you leave Marquette? You were on the all Big East freshman team. Yep. You know, you were averaging almost double digits. You were starting point guard. Why would you transfer from out of that? And it's like, it's so much more that people don't quite understand. And then not only that, but you're coming to ask me, why am I transferring? I'm 18 at the time. I'm scared. Like, people are going to look at me as, oh, she's the bad apple. You know what I mean? Oh, she's causing issues.
Yeah.
You never know what your coach is going to say, whether you had a good relationship with them or not, because they're their own person and they have their own feelings about what you may do. And so transferring, at least when I was in college, and it seems like they're getting away from that, was a huge stigma.
Yeah.
I transferred twice like you did. You know what I mean? So, and you transferred once as well. Mm-hmm. But like Danny said, it's okay to make mistakes.
Absolutely.
And the NCAA shouldn't penalize kids for moving around at least once. Like, if they move once, they shouldn't have to sit out that first year.
I agree.
Right.
If they keep moving around, that's different. But you know what I mean? Like, that's just how it goes. So I'm kind of glad that you touched on that. And, you know, just because I know young kids may be listening to this, right? NDSU, you went there, you thought it was going to be something different, and you get there and you realize your minutes are almost cut, like, immensely from your freshman year. Talk about that, like, you know, just that process, how that made you feel, and, like, what'd you do to kind of, you know, combat that?
Like, I remember you asked me earlier, like, was there a time where, like, you second-guessed yourself and kind of, like, this was the time where I was like, okay, is basketball really for me? This is, like, when I was sitting in my room staring at the wall and asking myself, like, do I really want to do – is this really meant for me? Like, are you really that good to be here? And then that was when that stuff started to kick in. So it was kind of tough for me at first because I had never gone through that before. Like, and especially when like you're not bad at what you do. I know I can hoop.
Right.
I know I can hoop in any situation I get put in, and I proved that. I mean, there's a lot of things like he didn't. I'm not gonna say all that, but the he didn't. I'm gonna say he didn't agree with that. He didn't like how I played, and I don't think. And when I got there, I thought it was gonna be something different. When I was going through that recruiting process, I didn't really open up my recruiting process when I left Siena as much as I probably should have, because when North Dakota State came in the picture, they actually, while I was still at school, they ended up taking an in-home visit to meet with my grandparents and some of my family who was at the house and stuff like that. So from what they told me, and they met with my high school coaches and told them things that never really happened. So
Right.
it was a lot of just like, I don't want to say promises, but false promises, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
So when I got there, it just wasn't what I expected or what I felt like I deserved. Like I said, like when it came to the fact of me leaving, it was like I put so much into this game. I feel like the game, and especially here, it could be given back to me.
Yeah.
I proved myself whenever I played at NDSU and I played solid minutes. I proved myself.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever it was, if you go look at the Duke game, go look at the leading
Yeah, you
scorer.
went nuts that game.
Go
Yeah.
look. I'm just gonna say, go look at the leading scorers and look how much I played previously before that. I mean, I'm being honest about it because I never really got the chance to talk about it, and I think like
Right.
you said, like kids are gonna be listening to this.
Yeah.
I work out kids myself. Like Danny was saying, like I work out kids myself, and I want them to know like when you're going into certain situations, I want you to really know what you're getting yourself into before you actually go there. So when I got there, it just wasn't what I expected. I mean, in practice, like Tia knows my game. I'm not sure if Danny's ever seen me play, but like I'm an offense. Like I can score. I can do a lot of things offensively. Yeah, I don't want to say it. I'm gonna say it,
You're a
but
bucket.
I'm a bucket. I just can find a way to score or somehow like whatever you want to say. But I did a lot of that in practice. There's plenty of practices where I went on runs for 5-10 straight minutes where the people who are in the lineup could not stop anything I was doing. There's been times where I've stopped practice. Okay, you guys don't want to practice? We'll come back later tonight. From line I'm dying. So it was really frustrating. Like when I know I can hoop, nothing ever changed about my work ethic. I would still wake up and go shoot early in the morning. I would still go in before practice. None of that ever changed. It just the game just wasn't giving back what I felt like I deserved, and that was pretty much what it came down to. I was actually going to stay for another year. Thank God, like I kind of built up the courage to make the right decision and leave. Because after the season was over, after the Duke game, obviously, I felt like the next year was going to be a lot better because I think I proved myself on the biggest stage against the best team in the country. But it just never was that. I never felt that, like you said, like coaches are supposed to be an extension of like, well, men's coaches, women's coaches, they're supposed to be an extension of your mother or your father. That's exactly how I see it. Coach K was like a dad to me in high school. I wanted that same type of relationship. And I kind of found it when I was at Siena. And then when he left, I lost that. And I never felt that, felt like I was cared for or appreciated I was appreciated as a person. Like everybody who knows me, you know, I'm a good person. Good student. Like I never got in trouble while I was at school, none of that. So I was never a head case in that sense, but I felt like I deserved more basketball. I felt like I needed to be appreciated. And that's what led me to coming here, just to be appreciated for what I can do as a basketball player. Like everybody always says like, school comes first. You're a student athlete. Well, my grades didn't get me a full-ride scholarship to play basketball. My athletic ability on the basketball court was the reason why I can go to school for free. So like y'all know if you're not performing to the best of your ability on the court and they feel like you're really just not giving them anything, like some coaches will give you the boot. Like they'll be like, okay, you don't want to like, yeah, you see the look, like they're like, you don't want to adjust and work hard and do what it takes to be a college basketball player. They will give you the boot in certain programs. I'm not saying I was in a program like that before, but like, I was never that kid. There was no reason for me to
Right. They couldn't find anything.
Yeah. So like,
Exactly.
I just never felt like I was appreciated as a basketball player. I mean, that was the ultimate thing at the end of the day at that school.
All right. And I know you itching to comment on what he just said because he said a lot. But I'm going to just take the time to say, Jay Horn on here talking his shit. I don't know if y'all heard what he said, but he said, go check the stats of the Duke game. That was in the NCAA tournament, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Yeah.
He said, check the leading scorers. So I just wanted to reiterate that. So before any of y'all try to come at him talking about, well, at NDSU,
I averaged 4 points and I did this and that. When I played good. That's all I must say.
Okay. And that's with limited minutes. That's hard to do.
11 points.
Most people.
11 points in 14 minutes against Zion Williamson, RJ Barrett, Cam Reddish, and Trey Young.
Okay. Talk your shit, but
that's just being a hooper. Like, I'm competitive. Like, I know I can hoop, and that was just the thing. Like, I just felt like I could do a lot more things to not only be out there and playing, but I feel like I can make the team. Like, when I'm a winner, I'm a competitor. I will do anything it takes to win. I don't need to be the leading scorer. I don't need to do that. But if that's what I got to do to make us win, I'm gonna do it. Like, I will do anything it takes to win, and that's just the facts. I don't want to get into like the big debate about it, but that's just the facts about it, to be honest.
No, I understand. Trust me, and I know you do too, right? He said, and you said this before. It was hard because you knew you could hoop.
Yeah.
You know, you knew you could hoop, but your coach maybe couldn't see that. Or your coach maybe didn't believe in you, or your coach maybe just didn't like you.
And like he said earlier, I'll never forget the day that me and you played scout team, and I want to say we were Ohio State, maybe.
Yeah, I was Kelsey Mitchell.
That's crazy.
You was Stephanie Mabunga.
That's crazy because I'm the same way. I remember exactly who I played as in scout team. That's crazy. I thought I was the only one.
Yeah, no, that's how it be.
Yeah, and I'll never forget.
Kelsey, Steph, go ahead.
Yeah, right after practice, he was like, "Why can't you do that for us? Like, why you're doing great. Why can't you do that for us?" And I'm like, "Are you dumb? Like, like obviously I can. You just saw what I could do.
Yeah.
But that opportunity, you know, is slim, you know, and I mean, I would agree, like what you said. I didn't play crazy minutes ever in my college career, but I know almost every time I got in the game, I scored. I know almost every time I got in the game, I got a rebound. I got to rebound. You know what I mean? I might have blocked the shot. Well, no matter how many minutes I was in the game, I definitely did what I had to do. And I'm not gonna say I don't have regrets because I do. You know what I mean? As far as like recruiting and where I chose to go to school and everything like that. But I'm very glad that I went through what I went through and it happened how it happened, because I'm a firm believer in, you know, everything happens for a reason. God doesn't put you through anything for no reason.
As hard as it is to believe that, but I believe it too.
Oh my God, it's a fact. It's a fact. And so I believe that it shaped me into who the person I am now. You know what I mean? And it was for a reason. And I don't look back on it and, you know, hate it or, you know, ball my fist up every night because I'm just like, dang, I wish I could have, you know,
it was
did
a
or
point
whatever.
though where it was like that.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I had to heal from it. It was something I had to heal from. It was something that I had to put pen to paper, and it was something that I had to just let go. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And think about it. Like you said, we're 3 student athletes in here talking about things that at least for us happened years ago that still strike an emotion in us. That's not for no reason.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's real life. You know what I mean? And that's what I just wish that more coaches would take into account, that this isn't just 4 years of my life that you're, you know, dealing with, or 1 or 2, however many years. This is my life. Yeah. You know what I mean? This is my but I just came from adolescence. This is my like early adulthood life that truthfully is going to shape you into what you do next.
And you give your life up to this sport, really, at that point.
Come on. It's so much deeper than people would ever think unless you're in it. And some people who are in it don't take it that deep. They don't care, you know what I mean, or whatever it is. But, you know, I can tell at least all 3 of us, I feel like we're on the same accord as you know, as far as just knowing that it's much deeper than just, you know, not playing those minutes or not getting that opportunity or anything like that.
It's disrespectful.
Oh my gosh.
At least you feel disrespected, right? A competitive player. I know it took me during that time, when you know you can do something, like you're saying, you know you can beat out this player, that player, and you just know your game, and to have no control over it. That was probably the first time I felt powerless.
Yeah. That hurt.
In my life.
Yeah.
It did. It hurt a lot because it's just kind of like they always told you that, hey, if you worked hard and that if you were good enough, you would always be okay.
Yep.
For those of you that's listening, that's not always true. You know, when you're making this decision, focus on what's in front of you. You know what I mean? Don't pay attention to the recruiting visit as much because they're going to show you everything that's perfect about the school.
Yeah.
They're going to take you out. You're going to be in hotel rooms, depending on what level you're at, right? Yep. They're going to put you in the nicest of hotel rooms. They're going to show you all the gear that you're going to get, things like that. Don't pay attention to that if you take this sport seriously. You really want to look at, you know, X's and O's wise. How does this team actually play? Like, does this even match the game that I've been playing my entire life? 2, you know, talk to the players and ask for just like honesty at the end of the day. You know what I mean? Because you'd be surprised how many players would actually tell you the truth about their experience.
That's how I am now. Like whenever like I have, because I like usually at every school, even as a freshman at Siena, like I had a lot of the recruits who were like, my coach would be like, okay, we're going to bring in a recruit. Can you go out to eat with them, talk to them? Like any question they ask me, I'm telling you the 1,000% truth. I'm not going to sit here and I'm not going to be like, oh yeah, everything's perfect here. Just come here. We need you. I'm going to be like, look, this is how it is. And if this fits you and this is how you want it, then come here. If not, I totally respect it. Do what's best for you at the end of the day.
Yeah. Exactly. And not only like there are relationships with, you know, all the players, but like, in my case, what is your relationship with the post? You know what I'm saying? What is, because if you're a point guard coach, you know, if you play point guard, you might, that might be who you're, you know what I mean?
Think about that, yeah.
That's, you know, that's real talk because.
From a developmental part of like, is your game going to develop?
Yeah, how much are you focused on your post players? You know what I mean? Because some people just, like I said, just go stand on the block and grab us boards and be our screener, and that's it. You know what I mean? But then there are some programs who are like, no, we develop posts. Like you can go. We have a track record of, you know, our posts might have came in overweight or might have came in, you know, with bad feed or whatever it is, and you look at them from freshman year to, you know, years on, and they are developed. You know what I mean? And that's because that's not accidental, and that's not something that's not intentional. That's like, no, that's, we have a specific program in place or whatever it is for these post players, and, you know, guards, we develop this or whatever it is, you know what I mean? And so it does really matter. And like she said, for any, you know, aspiring student athlete listening to this, I mean, I could talk your ear off about the recruiting process, and I feel like, I mean, I could write a, you know.
I feel like I know it. Like I know, like if anybody were asking what's the recruiting process, I feel like I could give you like an in-depth answer of exactly what it is.
Seriously.
After going through it.
Definitely.
So, but no, we just dropped some great tips. You know, if you are watching this, like ask those questions, ask the hard questions too.
Yeah.
One thing me and Danny did do, a lot of people left right before we came, and for some reason that wasn't a red flag for us.
It was.
You know what I mean? It should have been more than it was.
Yeah.
So, you know, ask those types of questions because it's a huge chunk of where you're going to be living your life, who you're going to be around, all types of stuff like that. So just take it seriously and don't look at everything like the great things about it because they're going to show you that.
Absolutely.
So thank you for kind of going into that, Jordan, because I think we all can relate so much, and I know other people can relate as well, and it's okay they try to tell us, right, that some kids think they're better than what they are.
Absolutely.
And although that may be true for some people, that's not always necessarily the case. So it's perfectly okay to be like, you know, you were wrong. You knew what type of player you were. You felt like you should have played. Nothing wrong with that. So thank you for going through that. But now you're at UT, Permian Basin. Unfortunately, you started off the season strong. You played 6 games. And you broke your foot. Kind of walk us through that and kind of like what's that rehab process been like trying to get back?
Well, yeah, once I transferred, like I said, we talked about it before, but I transferred to a Division II, UTPB, University of Texas, Permian Basin. And like I said, I felt like I deserved what I put into the game. I felt like I deserved to be somebody who could make an impact on the team, and that's why I came here, and that's exactly what I was doing at the beginning of the year. Started off 6 games. That's probably, you know, I was second leading scorer. I was averaging probably like 16, 17 points. And it was our 6th game at home. We were playing, I forgot what school, some school from New Mexico. And I had a great first half. Like I was had 17 points, 6 for 9 from the field at half. And then going into the second half, there's like probably 11 minutes left in the game. It was the most like accidental like injury I've ever seen. And I just did a little crossover. As soon as I planted off my right foot, I heard and like I felt a little pop, and I was like, that ain't right. So like at first I thought like my shoe ripped. So then I make the play, and then I pass it, and then I land, and then my foot started to kind of like tingle a little bit, started to hurt, and I looked down, and I was like, my shoe ain't ripped. So I was like, I looked at the trainer and looked at my foot, and it ran back. And then once I got out of the game, I told him what happened. I felt the pop. It felt like a quarter or like a coin had like hit the side of my foot. Like somebody threw a coin at the side of my foot, and that's exactly how it felt. And then I ended up breaking my foot. It was a Jones fracture, and I forgot what metatarsal it was, but Jones fracture on my right foot. And I was in a cast for like 10 weeks, I think, like 2.5 months. Ended up missing the whole season, had to do rehab, and I didn't fully run again until I think I started running again and doing normal activity probably like March. So I got hurt in November. It was actually, what's today? The 22nd. I got hurt November 17th last year. So it was the 1-year anniversary 5 days ago. So I got fully cleared in like March, came home because of all of COVID and stuff like that. And I was able to work out and stuff like that. But it was tough. I never had like an injury that like really sat me down for a while. I've sprained my ankle. I've dislocated my shoulder, but that didn't have anything to do with my lower body. I could still run and stuff like that. But this was like super, super challenging. I ended up throughout the season, I gained weight. Obviously, you can't do anything, so I had to lose all that weight again. It was really tough. Just not being able to do anything, and especially like me being a competitor. And we were doing pretty good before I got hurt, and then all of a sudden, like we started losing, and then it gets frustrating because like you can't help your team win, and that was like the struggle for me, sitting on the end of the bench, just watching like the end of games and seeing us lose. That really hurt. So the rehab and the whole injury process was really tough, but I'm glad I kind of went through it because it kind of slowed me down a little bit. All the working out and 3-4 times a day working. I get caught up to me, like the college basketball grind. Like it's a lot just by itself, not the extra stuff, but just the demands of the college, like a college just student athlete period is very high. So I think it kind of set me down a little bit, kind of just made me like relax, like, okay, slow it down a little bit. So I'm kind of glad it happened. Like at the time it did. I actually got a year back, so like I could really be in school for this year and then 2 years after that because I was a redshirt that year. So yeah, and plus the COVID year because I guess they gave everybody the year back. So I could have. I don't know if I want to do all that, but
you can be dirty playing if you want.
I'm good with that. I'm good with that. But yeah, it was a tough process, and I'm kind of glad I got through it, and I feel 100% now. So
okay, so you had your injury, you're back to 100%. Kind of tell us a little bit about your team and just give us like a preview and like what's your expectations for this upcoming season.
My expectations, I want to win a conference championship. I mean, I want to get in the NCAA tournament. I want to like once you get that feeling like. At NDSU, like when I got to experience NCAA tournament, whether it's Division I or Division II, like that's something you want to go back to. Like you want to experience like that high level of competitiveness, like no matter where you're at, like for the rest of your career, whether I stayed there or not. So I want to win a conference championship. I think we have the team to do it. We have, I don't know if you know a lot about the Lone Star Conference, but like it's really, really talented. Like it's a lot of Division I transfers end up coming here. There's people from Ohio State who played in this conference last year, Ole Miss. There's a bunch of Division I transfers. So it's still super competitive. So I think we have a few Division I transfers who will make a huge impact, including myself. So I think we have the team to really make a push in the conference tournament this year.
Okay. And do you think you guys have a chance to win it this year?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. I think we definitely do. I think just like how together this team is. Like I think like I'm friends with everybody on this team, like 1 through however many we got. So I think that plays a huge role in like actually being successful as a team. So And it's just a weird year with all this COVID stuff. We weren't able to have like the same preseason and stuff like that, and people have gotten COVID, missed 2 weeks and stuff like that. So it's a little different, but I'm still super confident in this team to make a run and win this conference tournament.
All right. So you mentioned like COVID and just kind of like how different it is. Do you mean like just with the workouts, or like what feels different about it?
It's just
like a regular season.
It feels like a regular season, but we didn't have like a full like preseason. Like we had some people who tested positive. Like I think like the first, I think I got here for a week, and I think we had to we went out to like a dinner, and then one of my teammates had tested positive, so the whole team had to go into quarantine for 2 weeks as soon as I got here. So having to do workouts outside and going on out on the soccer field and stuff like that. So it's just been a different adjustment as far as workouts, like not being able to have your full team there at all times. It's a little different, but I think like my coaches and everybody's kind of talked about it. I think like the teams who are going to be successful like this year, like no matter what, like even in the NBA and the bubble, like every team that like handled their business like with COVID and doing the right things, staying like having negative tests and staying like keeping your eyes on the prize. That's like the perfect way to put it. I think those teams are the ones who are going to be super successful, and I think we have the team to do that.
Okay. So I'm glad you mentioned the NBA, because that kind of goes into my next question, right? NBA draft happened, what was it, yesterday or was it the day before?
Day before.
It don't matter, because when they see this, they all going to be confused. But the NBA draft happened, right? Top 3 draft picks. We had Anthony Edwards, he going to Minnesota Timberwolves. James Wiseman, he's going to the Warriors. And LaMelo Ball is going to the Hornets. So out of those 3 players, who do you think will have the most impact?
LaMelo Ball. I think.
Really?
Because I think like, well, one, Anthony Edwards is going to play with 2 All-Stars, D'Angelo Russell and Cat. So I don't know like how much he's obviously gonna touch the ball. He's super talented. He's the number 1 pick. He's obviously gonna get shots and stuff like that. But you got 2 they're not vets. Like D'Angelo Russell and like Cat aren't vets. They're probably like 24, 23 years old. Like so they're still trying to prove themselves too, and like be an all-star and make a playoff run. So I think like Edwards is gonna be successful, but I don't think he's gonna be. The one thing I will say is that the first person to win a championship, I think, is gonna be James Wiseman, because he's with the Warriors. I think with him, well, Clay just got hurt. Man, I can't even say that.
Yeah.
Maybe not this year, but like when Clay gets healthy and stuff like that, James Wiseman, I think, will be the first to win a championship. But I think LaMelo Ball is like the truth. Like I didn't really like him when he was younger, like when he was shooting from half court and doing all like the extra stuff. I didn't really like him, but like when I actually started to watch him play like his overseas stuff, like when he was in Australia and the NBL, like he can actually hoop. Like he's 6'7" point guard. He can shoot, pass. Like I think he's gonna, and he's on the Hornets too. Like I'm not people like non-hoopers couldn't even name like 5 people on the Charlotte Hornets. So like I think he's gonna go there and like make a huge. I think he's gonna win Rookie of the Year, honestly. So
I actually agree with you on LaMelo Ball. I'm interested to see how they kind of like play him though, because they do have a ton of guards on the Hornets.
A lot of guards.
You got Malik Monk. I don't know if he got traded. Devontae Graham.
Him. They traded Dwayne Bacon.
Hayward.
Okay, they traded Dwayne Bacon. You said they got who?
They just got Gordon Hayward like yesterday.
They did and then
he signed for like $140 or $30 million.
Yeah.
For like,
I wouldn't have paid him that.
I wouldn't either, but that ain't my business. I
mean, I know this is kind of off topic because we're talking about draft picks, but for MJ to have that much faith in him after he just had that crazy injury, I mean, Gordon Hayward is definitely
he can still hoop. No, don't get me wrong. Like he still can hoop, but like I don't know if he's worth $140 million.
I think it like 80, 85. You know,
but that ain't my business.
Right.
They giving money out like that, god damn.
Yeah, no,
because I also saw though that they were maybe thinking about getting Russell Westbrook. That was a rumor. I don't know where Westbrook is gonna go now that they got Hayward.
Yeah, I don't think he's going. I don't think they got enough money for Russell Westbrook to go there.
Russell probably
not anymore, but no, I think LaMelo is a good pick. Like you said, he's super flashy, just immature early on, right? And his dad didn't make it any better but he was a kid.
Yeah.
Some kids do that. But just watching him grow into the player that he is now, I think he will be super successful.
Absolutely.
They said that they don't think he's going to be a great shooter in the NBA, but I think he's going to be a lot better shooter than Lonzo, his brother. So
I think he's going to be better in general than Lonzo.
I think he will too.
I think
he will too. They got two different games though. Like,
yeah,
they do.
Lonzo is like a real true point guard. LaMelo's a true point guard too, but like he can really like shoot from deep. Like he's a little
He's
different.
more of a scoring point guard.
Yeah, I think he's a little different. But I mean, I actually like, you can't even like talk bad about LeVar Ball no more.
Yeah, he's a good dad.
I wish I had a dad like LeVar Ball. Like to like he made it happen. Like he's like both of his sons were top 3 picks. LiAngelo had a G League deal. He probably gonna end up getting in the NBA too. So like, I can't even say nothing bad about him. Like he is the truth. Like
it worked.
It worked. Like his whole plan and the whole Big Baller Brand stuff, that all came into fruition. Like it all happened.
Facts. So you say LaMelo Ball, I say LaMelo Ball. You were surprised when he said that. So who do you think may have the biggest impact?
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I love Anthony Edwards' game. Like they've been comparing him to Victor Oladipo and Dwayne Wade, which is just so happened they all play for Crean. Which is weird, but I think you're right as far as, kind of, I don't think he'll get as many like touches as LaMelo, but Anthony Edwards just is a highlight reel to me. And I think that he'll really make an impact in that way. And I kind of think back to Zion and how like, I feel like every time people watch Zion, they just expect him to do something crazy because he's Zion. You know what I mean? And with Anthony Edwards, I think it'll be somewhat similar, but not as much, just because, Zion is literally a freak. He's like 6'8" and
I witnessed it. I seen it firsthand.
Yeah. So, I think those expectations will be a little less. And so I think that'll, kind of make whatever his results are, will make it that much more.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Just
I know what you're saying.
With Zion, it was like, even when he got hurt and everything, it was just like, oh, he's going to be, a bust or whatever, But Anthony Edwards is solid. And so, it's kind of, with those expectations being less, it's kind of whatever he does, whatever it is, it'll be kind of impressive. But I think that about Anthony Edwards. I really love James Wiseman's game as well.
He's tough. He's tough. I ain't gonna lie to you. He's tough.
Yeah.
I thought the Timberwolves should have took him.
I thought the Timberwolves were gonna take LaMelo, but honestly, they could have been.
So?
I think they would have been good with either one of them. Like either one of them 3 picks. Like I think they would have been perfectly fine.
Yeah.
I thought they were gonna pick. I thought they were gonna pick LaMelo just for like a money standpoint, because like everybody gonna want to buy. I even want to buy a ball jersey with number 1 on the back. Like obviously that's gonna
that's tough.
Yeah, that's gonna be super tough and generate a lot of money. So I thought he was gonna go there for that reason, but I was wrong.
Yeah, and even like I said, me watching James Wiseman, as a post player, just he's solid. I mean, defensively solid. You throw the ball up to him, he's going to go score it. You know what I mean? And then not only that, but what he went through with his college experience, losing his eligibility, with the whole Penny Hardaway and everything thing like that, it makes his story, that much sweeter.
Yeah,
him
absolutely.
Being able, I saw his, reaction, him crying and everything like that, and I love to see stuff like that. So, I think he'll definitely have an impact on the Warriors, and I mean, this year it'll be interesting. I know Steph is back healthy.
He might win MVP, but so between him or Kevin Durant, those are the 2 top.
You think so?
Yeah, Steph is back. He been resting.
This is the
Steph
thing,
has been out.
He been resting. He's about to come back, and oh my goodness.
Yeah, light it up.
I'm not denying he gonna come back and get buckets, but in order to get MVP, you're gonna have to be winning, and I don't see the Warriors winning as much. They could, but
the West is just
think it'll
tougher
be
now.
Like how they were.
The West is just tougher now.
They can't even go get anybody because I don't even think they have cap space or anything like that to get anybody. But I don't know. I think it'll be interesting. I think this whole NBA season in general will be interesting, especially with free agency ending. I think in like a few days. So everybody will, be somewhere where Russ ends up going. I just seen John Wall request a trade. And I think I'm going to see that happening with Russ going to Washington and maybe Wall going to Houston or somewhere else. But it's going to be interesting. It's going to be a good season. Again, with COVID and everything like that just affecting everything.
Right.
Players texting positive and stuff like that. Preseason workouts.
About to start in a month. That's like the NBA is about to be back in a month, and it just ended. That's crazy.
Christmas games, yeah, it is. I'm excited about it.
For sure. So we had that NBA draft, right? And I saw you were commenting on it, and you was like, I think you said something like, it's so funny seeing people get drafted that you used to give buckets.
Facts.
Yeah.
Facts.
I mean, you get to that age though, right, where you've played a lot of these guys. You're going to be in college a little bit longer because you got injured in because of the COVID year. But I mean, that's the truth, right? You see that happen. And I was snooping on you a little bit, and you said your dream job is the NBA. So you do eventually want to make it to the league. So I guess we talked about the draft, but you played against a lot of some of the Minnesota guys as well. So like, what's your take on seeing them get drafted? How does that change your outlook about yourself at all?
No, it doesn't change. I'm absolutely I know 3 of them personally, so I'm super happy for them. Obviously, Daniel, I played against him when he was at Cretan and stuff like that. I played with Trey growing up, so I'm they made their dreams come true. I couldn't be no happier for them, but at the same time, it tells you okay, at one point in time, you were once with them and succeeding right with them. So it doesn't really change my mindset at all. I think it just makes me more hungry. I knew my story, and everything is just going to be a little bit different. So I knew my career path to reach my goals is going to be a little bit different. I may have to go overseas and prove myself in whatever and however way I have to make my dreams come true. So I don't think it's changed anything at all, but I'm definitely happy to see those guys to make their dreams come true. It's kind of crazy, 4 of them in one draft. 4 people from Minnesota in one draft. That's crazy.
We had Zeke Naji went 22 to the Nuggets. Tyrell Terry went to the Mavericks for the 31st. Daniel Turu, he went 33rd to the Clippers, and then Trey Jones, 41.
And then you think about it, who was the more highly touted prospect out of all 4 of those in high school? Trey. And he got drafted last out of all of them. That's crazy to me. To kind of think that him when he was in high school, he was Gatorade Player of the Year, Mr. Basketball, obviously, and for him to be drafted last, I was kind of shocked, honestly. But that just shows you how different college basketball can change the trajectory of people's outcomes in their career.
Yeah. No, I definitely thought that was super interesting, kind of seeing that. I'm not going to lie, the first 2, since I am a little older, I didn't even know who they were. Zeke Naji and Tyrell Terry?
He went to
Hopkins.
Yep, he went to Hopkins. I remember playing it. We played him in the fall league at Hopkins right before my senior year. Beat them by 6. I think I had 28. And then Tyrell Terry. When he was super young, I think he used to play with with Jalen and all them when he was super, super, super young.
Yeah.
And then obviously Daniel and Trey, everybody knows about.
Okay. Yeah, that's crazy. But I think if anything, like you said, you've played with those guys before.
Yeah.
You knew how you played. So when I'm looking at it from my perspective, I'm like, dang, you right there. Obviously your path is maybe different, and you probably took the road less traveled and you didn't have the glitz and glamour of going to Duke or anything like that, but you have a huge resume. You played Duke, and you played very well against Duke with the Zion Williamson. So I think that's something to look forward to. I mean, just keep working at it. I already know you're going to put in the work. So it'll be interesting, definitely, over the years. Once you do get in the NBA, though, don't forget about us.
Never. I got to make it happen. I got to make it happen first. I got to make it happen first.
You will.
Got to pray on it.
Just keep working at
believer.
it. But at the end of the day, you're going to be a professional. And
Absolutely.
that's what matters, whatever level that may be. So before we go, last question is, college basketball season starting. You got a game on Wednesday. A lot of games are happening on Wednesday. What teams are you looking forward to this season to watch?
To watch, I always watch Siena. I always check up and like I got my roommate from my freshman year still there. A few of the other guys I've met are still there, so I always check in and see how they're doing and talk to them throughout the year. I grew up a North Carolina fan, so I always kind of see how they're doing. But I'm not really. I'm a fan of like the game, like more.
Yeah.
I don't really pay attention unless I have like a personal connection or anything like that. I really just watch it just for like the learning purposes and just the entertainment purposes at sometimes. So I'll definitely be watching a lot of the Siena games whenever I can. All North Carolina games. Any big game that's on, all those non-conference games, the Duke, Michigan States, like I'm always tuned into those. But I'm ready for my season. I'm ready to hoop. I'm itching. I can't wait to hoop.
Okay. Who are you looking forward to?
On the men's side, I always watch IU. You know, I always tap in with them, and mostly with the Big Ten in general.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like I watch them the most. But on the women's side, I'm definitely most excited to watch South Carolina. I feel like their recruiting class has been insane, and I'm also anxious to watch UConn always. Like you said, Paige being from Minnesota. Yeah. Yeah, I think that'll be exciting to watch. I'm also super, super anxious to see how the Big 12 matches up this year with Vic Schaefer leaving Mississippi State, going to Texas. It's just going to be huge because in the Big 12, it's been Baylor every year. I think they've won the Big 12 like 12 years in a row or something crazy.
Wow.
So and that is why Vic Schaefer took that job, and that's why they brought him to Texas, because they were sick of Baylor winning the Big 12 every year.
Right.
And they're like, we need, Karen Ashton, she was competing and going to the tournament, but Baylor was still winning that Big 12 championship every year. So I think Texas and Vic Schaefer are going to give Kim Mulkey and the Bears, a little smoke this year. And then same with Texas Tech. My coach at UTA, she just got hired for that job, and they brought in some crazy recruits. And then like my friend Lexi plays for them, and she's incredibly talented. So watching them, Bendu at Arizona, that's about it.
Yeah, a lot of people. Look.
No, I really, like he said, I'm a fan of the game, and I still look at it as like a journalist, analyst standpoint. So I'm definitely, and then I just have a lot of friends and connections in the game, so I'm excited to watch a bunch of people.
Right.
Yeah. Who are you gonna tap in with this year?
So I don't have any favorite teams anymore. I think it's weird. Like when you play college sports, you don't have a favorite
team.
All
that goes out the window. I don't know why, but it definitely goes out the window.
Yeah.
So I was always a huge fan of UConn, like before college. Not as much of a fan anymore, I would say, but they play great basketball. And then, Paige Becker, she's a Minnesota kid where me and Jordan are from. So, like you said, I want to see her play, see what she does at UConn. And then we got another Minnesota kid, Jalen.
Oh, yeah. Ooh. And that's different, though, because I remember him when he was like, I hate to sound like a fan, but like, I remember when he was like a real, like, fourth grader playing in like Brian Sandiford tournaments, like playing like 17 youth, like
facts.
It's crazy. Just like everybody.
Fourth grade.
Like I'm like Minnesota's a little different. Like especially like with Brian Sandiford, not people who knows that he like changed like a lot of Minnesota basketball. Shout out grassroots, but like, but yeah, Jalen used to be like he was playing pickup with like he used to be at Tartan pickup open gyms when like Darion and Johnny Wood and all those guys would be there, and those guys were getting ready to go to college, seniors in high school. He's like fourth grade, fifth grade, still hooping.
That's
so like
insane.
To see him like be the number one player in the country, and now he's about to be at Gonzaga. I can't wait to watch him play.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. Gonzaga, they're ranked preseason number 1 in the country. So, and he looks like he's going to be starting there. So him and Paige, they came out the same year. So interesting to kind of see that because she's like top 10 over in the women's side. He's top 10 over on the men's side. And they're both going to reputable schools. So definitely excited to see them.
I can't wait to watch all the other Minnesota hoopers that I know. Just throughout, like it's a lot of Minnesota basketball players like playing Division I basketball. So knowing those guys, I can't wait to see all those guys play.
Right. And then obviously we're going to tend into you. Hopefully you come somewhere close to here. You guys play like UT Dallas, don't you? Or do you not play them this year?
We play UTEP Wednesday, and I think we play I want to say Rio Grande Valley, like that following Friday. I'm not sure. Well, I think we have some games like near Dallas though. I think we should. I'm not sure.
Yeah. If you do, I told you this last year, but definitely let me know.
I got you for sure.
I'll come check you out. But good luck to you this season.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for coming on the show.
Always.
I think we had a lot of good things to talk about.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you want to say anything?
No, thank you. I mean, I feel like this was like just like a super like open, honest, like chill conversation. You know what I mean? And you know, I appreciate that. You know, obviously you just being open and willing to talk about it and just being candid. You know, we definitely appreciate that. And like Tia said, good luck. You know, you repping Texas, no matter where it is, what school it is.
Appreciate it.
You might be from Minnesota now.
For sure.
But you know what I'm saying? You in a great state now.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I got it.
Definitely got to put on. So, yeah, I'm going to have to give you a follow on the gram after this.
Yeah,
you know,
appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely. Keep
That's
up with you for sure.
Good question. Hey, not even a question, but drop your handles. Let people know where they can find you.
Yeah.
jhorn_23 on Instagram and Twitter. That's what I'm on.
Okay. All right. There you have it, y'all. Jordan Horn. He's at UT Permian Basin. Look out for him. I guarantee you'll probably see him over the next few years. And so thank you, Jordan, for joining us. This is episode 4. Before we go, like, comment, subscribe.
I do have a quick shout out to give, actually.
Go ahead.
My dad has a Black-owned business called Sister Son Customs, and he makes custom coasters, custom tables, and he can customize pretty much anything sports related, Black Lives Matter related, Jesus spiritual related, anything he can customize for you. So definitely Sister Son Customs on Instagram. Go give him a follow. Support Black-owned businesses.
Yes, ma'am.
You know, go ahead and plug yourself in real quick.
Make sure y'all check out Rate My College Coaches. We touched a lot on just the student-athlete experience through this whole episode. So Rate My College Coaches is trying to combat that, right? When you go to these campuses and they just kind of tell you what you want to hear, things like that. So if you're a student-athlete, whether you're playing now, whether you played 2-3 years ago, please go and rate your head coach, just that experience, because believe it or not, you would help people like us that didn't have, mentors telling us, hey, this is what you should be asking. These are the things that you're looking for. So please check that out. Unfinished Business, the blog. We got a whole bunch of stuff going on. So it's all on the website. We're going to drop the handles right here. Thank you. Peace.
Peace.